They said it was just a research facility, a harmless project tucked away in the icy wilderness of Alaska. But whispers told another story, a story of a weapon so powerful it could stir the skies, shake the earth, and turn clouds into storms. That story was HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. And this is where fact, fiction, and fear collide. The HAARP project was established in 1993 as a collaborative effort between the U.S. Air Force, Navy, the University of Alaska, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. Publicly, its aim was to study the ionosphere, the uppermost part of Earth's atmosphere, crucial for radio communication and navigation systems. But what drew attention wasn't just its official mission. It was the strange happenings and unexplained phenomena that seemed to bloom around it. Located in Gakona, Alaska, the HAARP facility contained a massive field of antennas, 180 of them, spread across 30 to 40 acres. These antennas worked together to send powerful radio frequency signals into the ionosphere, essentially heating it. Scientists claimed this allowed them to understand how solar flares affect communications and to improve satellite and GPS technology. But others asked, why such intensity? Why such power? And what were the military really looking for up there in the sky? Rumors soon began to swirl. Conspiracy theorists suggested that HAARP could manipulate the weather, control mines, or even trigger natural disasters like earthquakes and hurricanes. After all, if you could heat the ionosphere, couldn't you also nudge the jet stream? Couldn't you redirect a storm? Couldn't you make rain fall where there was drought? Or worse, withhold rain from a region altogether? Then came strange coincidences. In 2010, just before the devastating earthquake in Haiti, some claimed to have seen odd auroras in the sky, strange lights flashing in places they didn't belong. Was this nature or HAARP? In Japan, before the Tohoku earthquake, similar lights were spotted. These weren't just anecdotes. They became seeds of doubt, fueling a theory that HAARP might be behind unnatural catastrophes. But HAARP denied any connection, and the scientific community backed the project, calling the accusations baseless and scientifically implausible. Still, documents from the U.S. Air Force discussing weather as a force multiplier added fuel to the fire. A 1996 paper titled Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025, theorized future military capabilities to control weather for strategic advantage. Though speculative, it gave theorists ammunition. If military minds were dreaming of weather warfare, was HAARP their first step? And then there was the issue of secrecy. For many years, the HAARP facility was restricted to outsiders. No public tours, limited press coverage, and layers of military oversight. It was the perfect recipe for paranoia. In a world where governments admit only fragments of truth, people began filling in the blanks themselves. Some believed HAARP could be used to create artificial auroras, even open portals. Others suspected it could alter human behavior by emitting low-frequency waves that interfered with brain function. And in truth, there was research into extremely low-frequency, ELF, waves and how they might communicate with submarines deep underwater. If the Earth's crust could transmit signals, could it also carry something more? Theories kept growing, even as HAARP scientists dismissed them. In 2014, the U.S. military transferred control of HAARP to the University of Alaska. For many, it signaled the end of its role as a secret military project. Public open houses were held. Scientists offered explanations. Yet, the distrust remained. Because for every explanation, there were still unexplained patterns. Birds falling from the sky, strange weather over small towns, and sudden signal blackouts in areas close to the HAARP facility. The mystery of HAARP wasn't just in its operation. It was in the idea, the terrifying possibility that humans could now play God with nature. That the sky was no longer a realm of randomness, but a chessboard for power players. And in that game, the weather wasn't just a backdrop. It was a weapon. Long before HAARP was ever built, the dream of controlling the weather was already alive. In the 1940s and 50s, governments were experimenting with cloud seeding, introducing chemicals like silver iodide into clouds to induce rain. During the Vietnam War, Operation Popeye was launched by the U.S. to extend the monsoon season over the Ho Chi Minh Trail, disrupting enemy movement. Weather, clearly, could be weaponized. HAARP, in this context, wasn't the beginning, it was a continuation of a hidden legacy. Yet, HAARP's power wasn't chemical, it was electromagnetic. Its ability to send energy into the sky raised questions that science couldn't dismiss so easily. Could it, even unintentionally, disrupt the balance of nature? The ionosphere isn't just some distant layer. It plays a crucial role in shielding Earth from harmful solar radiation. What if repeatedly disturbing it triggered unintended consequences? Some pointed to the patterns of freak weather events, hailstorms in deserts, cyclones forming out of season, and unexplainable lightning storms. Theorists linked them to active HAARP sessions. They monitored public logs of when HAARP was operational and tried to match them with strange natural events. Coincidence or correlation? No one could say for sure, but the suspicion never died. Point 1 of the most persistent allegations was that HAARP could trigger earthquakes. The idea was that by sending powerful energy pulses into the Earth's crust, especially using ELF waves, it could destabilize fault lines. While most geophysicists refute this, saying the energy levels involved are too low, the question remained in public imagination. And every time disaster struck, someone somewhere asked, was HAARP involved? Russia, China, and Venezuela all accused the United States of using HAARP for geophysical warfare. Russia even began developing similar technologies, raising fears of a silent arms race, not of missiles, but of weather. Could the skies themselves become battlefields? Could nations weaponize nature against one another while denying any involvement? In the 21st century, the line between science fiction and science fact is thinner than ever. Technologies once imagined in novels like energy weapons, artificial intelligence, and weather modification now dance on the edge of reality. HAARP sits in the middle of this gray zone. Perhaps not the monster some claim it to be, but not entirely harmless either. Because sometimes, the biggest danger lies not in intent, but in experimentation without understanding that as climate change accelerates and weather becomes more unpredictable, fingers continue to point at technologies like HAARP. Maybe not because they are guilty, but because they represent our growing unease with playing with the forces of nature. We have always feared what we don't understand, and with HAARP, understanding is scarce, even now. Today, the HAARP facility remains operational, under civilian control. Public tours are allowed. Scientists insist its work is transparent. But many still believe that behind the smiling faces and data charts, something deeper lurks. A hidden file, a classified experiment, a darker purpose. Maybe HAARP is nothing more than a misunderstood science project. Or maybe it's the tip of an invisible spear, part of a new kind of war where the enemy doesn't see bombs or bullets, but floods and droughts, where destruction comes on the wings of the wind, not from planes or missiles. In the end, perhaps the real story of HAARP isn't about antennas in Alaska. It's about control, about our endless desire to master nature, to manipulate the sky, to bend the world to our will. But nature, as history has shown, does not yield easily. And if we tamper too much, we may awaken forces far greater than ourselves. The next time you hear thunder in a clear sky or a sudden shift in the air, ask yourself, is it nature or something else? Something man-made, hidden in plain sight? The HAARP project may be grounded in research, but its shadow stretches far into the unknown.